Hey gang, welcome back. It's DrBossKey, and I've got an update. We're adding a new feature, which is basically a secret feature. The player flies into an area, they stay in that area for a short period of time, 3 seconds, and then we spawn goodies. And I had a couple of flaws in my logic in the way that I want to spawn mostly the effects. By the way, we're a long way from this prototype right here. Super cool. I love it. Thank you, Sonny, for the help. So why don't we jump over and I will show you the update. All right. So real quick, we'll lead with the feature. Make sure we got that. All right. So this is just a deconstructed part of the feature. Actually, let me do this correctly. Hang on. There we go. Okay. So we basically have, and I think I can do this. Yeah. So here we have this little sparkly nuggets, right? And the idea is that the player sees a little sparkly nugget, and they're like, "Ooh, sparkly nugget, what's that?" And so it's a little loud on my headset. Hopefully, it's not too loud for the video. Okay. And so they see the sparkly headset, or the sparkly nugget, and they fly over to it, and then this happens.
Secret found.
Sweet. And this, in this case, gives you a bonus ship. And real quick, we can take a look at this in motion, because that's also super helpful. Sometimes being able to just quickly stop the camera is helpful when you're trying to just do rapid iteration with logic. Okay, let's see here. We just do that. Perfect. All right. So yeah, so they come down here, they see this, they have to stay in it. Oh gosh.
Secret found.
And then they get that. Of course, where I would start, right, is not completely on top of it. I'd start over here, something like this. But yeah, so that's the gist of it. That's how the secret works. And then you can spawn anything you want from here, which is super cool, right? So, all right. I'm updating this whole video for reference. So how do we do this? All right. So basically, the way we did this is we start with basically So we start with basically the secret sparkle nugget, right? So we have the secret sparkle nugget here. This is all pulled apart so I can show you the logic pieces, and then I'll show you the version that's all put together. Okay, so we start here with the sparkle nuggets. Sparkle nugget actually goes inside of this outliner. So, and this outliner here is an enemy. Well, actually, hang on. Okay, so the sparkle nugget is an enemy. And what we have done is we've turned off collision because we don't want we don't want it to die. We don't want to shoot it. We want the player to go and touch it or to sit on top of it. Okay. And then on the gameplay side, we set the HP to 1. Doesn't really matter. I turned off score because I didn't want to give you any extra bonus stuff. We turned off the items, the explosions. And then I think that is pretty much it. That's all we did with that. Yep. Okay. And then we also have, so we're working back from this, right? So we have basically a trigger volume. So this is when the player goes into the trigger volume area. So it's set to switch mode. So meaning that when the player goes into the trigger volume, this will turn on, the logic will turn on. And if they leave the trigger volume area, before it gets down to the end, the completion part of this, then the whole thing turns off and they lose their opportunity. So, and I'll give you, which is a nice thing is you press the space bar in the editor. One second. Here it is. We're going to re-enable the stopping of the camera. So when it's viewed by camera, not player goes in zone in this case. Okay, so this will show you the logic.
Secret found.
All right. So, and then I'll try to show you again. So if you go into the area and you leave, then the enemy disappears and the logic is gone. Okay. So player goes in the trigger volume area. We turn on. We spawn basically this enemy. And this enemy is essentially, it's just a spotted line, circular spotted line. We put a little rotation on it in engine. So, again, we did the same thing here. So it's only got 1 HP, no collisions, no damage, no items, no death explosions. It's not attached to anything. We turned off collision on it, of course. In this case, we set the Y rotation speed to -10. So a very cheap way of giving you a little bit of motion, which is great. And that is it. Okay. So then the player comes into the trigger volume region, and then a couple things happen. So one is we trigger this trigger logic, and this trigger logic is set to connected enemy state is all alive. So this is the enemy. And if we leave that trigger volume range, then this condition is no longer true, and this is what turns off all of the subsequent scripting bits. So while the player stays in here and the connected enemy state is all alive, then we come down and we start a timer. And this one's just a 0.1 second timer. This helps keep things separate in terms of it's almost like having one frame for logic. Maybe it's not necessary, but I wound up doing that just so I have a little bit more separation in the way that, I mean, all this does is create code at the end of the day. So that then after 0.1 seconds, we start the 3. We have an audio file, which is the countdown tone. So just a sound effect there. And then we also, at the same time, kick off another timer. So this is 1 second in duration. It's generally a 3, 2, 1. It's 1 second per countdown. We fudge it a little bit, but that works. So then what happens, I should probably show you the text object. So on the text, we basically have the number 3 here. It's set to switch mode. So make sure that everything turns off in case this condition is not true. The duration for transition in and transition out is 0.5 seconds. So this gives you the fade in and the fade out, which is kind of nice. And I think that is it. Oh, we also set the position to world position. So because we want it to show up inside of the area effect area. And then we kick down to that timer. We do the same thing for that sound effect. And then we come down to another time, to the last timer here, which is 1 second, comes down to the 1 sound effect there. And then we come down here. We added 1 more second for that final count. So you have 1, 2, 3. And then a couple things happen here. One is we trigger a different sound effect for the countdown final. So it's the little higher ding to give the player an audio cue that they've completed it. And then we have essentially right after that countdown happens, we wanted a little bit of a delay for when to do the next bits. So the next bits are we spawn, in our case, we spawn an item spawner. So this is the soul key, and that soul key is what gives you the player level up. I can show you that if you want to see that real quick. All right, soul key. Yeah, so it's this guy here. So it's just an item. And in this case, we added just the 1 up. Very, very easy here for that. We add a little score to this too. Actually, that's oh yeah, we'll leave that score at 10. All right, so then there's that. And then we also at the same time, we spawn our soul bits. So these are the green soul bits that fly into your player craft to boost your super meter. And then we also do this thing here. So we wanted to have a visual heart indication. So once this whole thing completes, yay, we give you a little bit of a visual punch for that. So we basically created an enemy type. So this enemy type here is same thing, no collision, doesn't take damage from anything, no waves, and let's see no items, but you could do this if you want it. No death explosion. And all this does is basically trigger the hearts. So we added a particle locator. The particle system is the hearts that we created. So, and that's what you see here. We have emission all the time in this case. And then once this enemy spawns, which is the other thing here to note is that this particular last this countdown trigger needs to be set to stay activated. I'll run through this one more time, just very quick, like clicking on everything. So then you have a very easy reference to step through in the video. All right. So yeah. So if we don't have this as set to stay activated, then what happens is that the enemy will spawn and just die immediately because this condition is no longer true, which is the connected enemy state is all alive. Because what happens is we also at this point we kill the area effect enemy here. And we also then have a trigger state here, which says if the enemy state is alive, which is this little enemy here, you can see just a little circle that I added there for the hearts. Then we have a little bit of timer, so 1.5 seconds because I didn't want the hearts to stay infinite. And then we basically clean up the enemy and we kill it. Okay. Whew. So that's it all expanded. Here it is all compressed. So what you want to do is you want to basically put all the audio files, all the text, everything in the middle of the enemy circle type. You want to control what you spawn in terms of GIFs, right? Item spawner. Yeah, that should be up here as well. I think I moved it because. All right. And then the logic all around the outside is that. Okay. So then what we'll do is from here at this point in the video, I'll note it in the comments. This will be the cheat sheet. We'll just step through so then you can frame step in the video and see each of the pieces. All right. So, this one's important. This is a very boring video. Sorry. Okay, that's it. All right, I hope that's helpful. I'm going to replace, I'll just unlist the previous video. I'll add this one in its place. If anyone has any questions or modifications, please just let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.